What's up, guys? Welcome to the In the Portal podcast. My name is Zavier Gussett, and I'm here with Liam. The In the Portal podcast should be a lot of talk about college sports and college transfer portal within NIL, and a lot of other things to do with college in the realm. So that's what we'll be talking about a lot this summer. Today we'll be talking about some lacrosse after their win against Army, and looking into their preview against Duke this Saturday, and some of the transfers and outlooks in NIL and how they use that in the lacrosse specifically. So welcome, Liam. How you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm Liam Wichser. Going to be a senior at Penn State next year, majoring in broadcast journalism. Really excited to get this podcast started. So I think our first segment is going to be getting into talking a little bit about that Army game in the quarterfinals for the Penn State men's lacrosse team, and then getting into a little preview for the Final Four games against Duke. So do you have any thoughts to start off about that big win against Army?
Yeah, so they went down 2 goals against Army, and then sprang back with six goals back, I believe, to take the lead, and then it ended up being a close 10-9 win. They're going up against Duke this next game, so Duke scored, I think, 15 against Michigan. So the goalie is going to have to step up a little bit, and they're going to have to focus on that. Do you have any insight into the Duke aspect?
Yeah, I mean, Duke, one of the big things with them this whole year, obviously they're the number one overall seed in the tournament. So Penn State has a lot on their hands. Duke is a really high-powered offense. Like you said, they scored 15 goals against Michigan, and that offense is led by Brendan O'Neill, who had 6 goals against Michigan. He has 51 on the season, and then Dyson Williams, who has 57 goals this year. And then Andrew McAdory, the sophomore, is another guy who can facilitate the ball really well and gets that offense kind of moving. So it's going to be a big task for Penn State. I think Jack Fracione, the goalkeeper for Penn State, really needs to have a big game, and that defense needs to stay strong. I mean, he had 11 saves versus Army and 16 versus Princeton, so he's having a really good tournament. But I think definitely they have to find a way to slow down that offense if they want to advance to the championship.
Yeah, and a good thing about this team is how they've used the transfer portal. Kevin Winkoff has been one of their higher scorers this year, along with Matt Costin, who used to be a transfer portal get, and a couple other guys that are leading in this year. Chris Jordan's one of them, another grad student. So they'll all have to step up in the veteran ability, and hopefully can get to that.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Costin, and he's a senior this year. He's came in. He has 15 goals on the year. He had scored a goal in that Army game. Chris Jordan, like you said, 12 goals, 7 assists. And Kevin Winkoff, he is another guy who's really stepped in. He has 23 goals, 13 assists. So the transfer portal, obviously, which we'll talk about a lot this summer, has definitely been a huge asset. And when you can bring guys in and they can kind of fit into the system right away, that was a huge difference. I mean, a year ago, this Penn State team had 3 wins, and now they're competing for a championship. So it's definitely been a huge aspect for them, and they're really taking advantage of it, especially now with the NIL store opening up for the Penn State players. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, a little bit of quick history actually that I just saw on Duke and Penn State. The last time they played was 2010, and it was 20-11. Duke is actually 2-0 against Penn State during their whole history. So hopefully Penn State can get a win in the tournament here for a big one. But with the NIL store, as you mentioned, I think they represent and work with 16 of the men's lacrosse players, and do a lot of things on their site with shirts and help get guys out there. Jack Trainer has a limited release T-shirt with them right now, I know, with the NIL store. And there's a bunch of other things going on with the lacrosse team and NIL that they take advantage of. And with the transfer portal being open from, I think, what day is it? The 8th? Yeah, May 8th was May 8th until the June 21st is the transfer deadline window for the lacrosse. So hopefully Penn State will see a couple other opportunities to take advantage of players and for those guys to get those opportunities and things here at Penn State as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously Penn State's still in season, so they're going to have to I'm sure they'll get on in the transfer portal quickly once their season comes to an end, and they'll Coach Sambroni and his staff will try to find new guys to add and retool because they will be losing guys like Jack Trainer next year. So it'll be interesting to see how they retool and how they use that portal. And yeah, like you said, with that NIL store opening up, I think is really cool. You know, a lot of the things you see in the news and media is a lot about, you know, football, basketball. So it's nice that people like lacrosse players and that sort of thing are starting to get involved and putting their name out there and starting to profit. So I think it's just an awesome thing for all those guys involved. And it is cool to see them, you know, posting on their socials, different, you know, you can get t-shirts with their last name and number on it. So it's really definitely cool to see how it's growing. And I think it will definitely impact the transfer portal going forward.
Right, and Penn State is definitely a good spot for that. And like you said, we're going to be talking about a lot of NIL and transfer portal stuff this summer. So with NIL, ever since it's been introduced, with a lot of more high school and young college athletes getting into it and using the transfer portal, it should really become a big part of sports in general. And lacrosse has already taken advantage of it on the roster and is outside of the field as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely taken over the sport. It there are, I mean, a lot of different collegiate sports have seen a lot of there's been an increase in transfers, no doubt, since the NIL stuff came out, which is, you know, it has its pros and cons. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. I mean, for a team like Penn State, if you're trying to retool and you're trying to stay in the picture, you know, when they have a really good group of young guys on their team. So if you can continue to add, you know, some older veteran leaders to come in each year, that'll only make your team and roster a lot better and help, you know, keep competing. You know, they're Big Ten regular season champs this year, and however they can maximize that portal is going to keep this program going and keep them where they want to be with these Final Four appearances rather than the losing seasons they had the last couple of years. So it's really interesting. And you know, this is their second Final Four appearance all time. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, in the years to come, how the NIL store and the transfers, how that works. And maybe guys out there see how Penn State's opening up their NIL store and they, you know, they want to use that. And that could be another point to transfers, say, hey, we can really expand your NIL deals here. We already have these stores open and players are already, you know, profiting off it pretty early on. So.
Right. And then we talked about like the couple of grad students, obviously, that Penn State picked up this past season. They also lost two of the players last year to Division II schools, which is another like wrinkle that they're going to have to keep up with the competition, and it's going to help the team out as well. So I think the NIL and transfer portal are, you know, helping out college sports in general a ton, and are going to be good all around in all aspects.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to see. Penn State, they are really, I think they're on the come up as a program. I think Coach Sambroni is a really good coach, and he's gotten all these guys ready, and especially these transfers who came in, he's brought them in, and they just have a great culture, and they have a lot of really good leaders. It's cool to see even the transfers like Winkoff and Jordan come in and be leaders. You know, I hear guys talk about them with high praise all the time. So that's another really cool part of it, and it'll be interesting to see going up against a powerhouse like Duke this weekend, how that will look and how that will kind of change things around. I mean, it'll be kind of, hopefully this Final Four is the start of something really good for this program, and they can keep trending in the right direction and use the portal and use all these different things that they have now to keep it up. And not even besides transfers, even the NIL stuff will be huge for recruiting guys out of high school too, because that's all starting to ramp up, and guys in high school are definitely starting to become familiar with NIL and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that is used too for the high school guys.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And like they're coming off the two tests against Princeton and then Army, and so Duke will be another big one. I couldn't give a final score prediction precisely, but like I said, I think Duke has shown to score a lot this season. They have a lot of scorers on their roster, so it'll be a big test for Penn State and this team. If they can get over the hump, it'll be big, like you said earlier.
Yeah, just to go off that real quick, I think it'll definitely be a battle. I think it'll be a high scoring affair because both offenses are very high powered, very electric, and it's going to be back and forth. I think if you're Penn State, you want to limit them to 13 goals around there less. That would, I think, put them in a position to win that game. So I think it'll be very interesting. I think it'll be a very close game, back and forth. But the key for Penn State, they've been starting off a little slow versus Princeton and then Army, and then they, like you said, they came back 6 unanswered against Army. But you got to play 4 quarters of lacrosse if they want to win. And they let Army, they got outscored I think 6-3 in the second half in that game. So they have to play a complete game, get some big stops on defense and in net, and keep doing their thing offensively.
Right, definitely great insight. Definitely looking forward to the game on Saturday at noon, and looking forward to talking a lot about the transfer portal and NIL and college sports as a whole this summer as well with you and in general.